God promised to give the descendants of Abraham the land of Canaan, and God always keeps his promises. The promise always stood, but there was conditions to staying in the land. Unfortunately, Israel didn't stay faithful to God and were kicked out of the land. But God promised to bring them back, and it was in our generation, in 1948, that God restored Israel to the Jewish people, a biblical prophecy. Now that hasn't been without controversy. Palestinians and Israelis have been fighting for the land. But in this program we will speak to both Palestinians and Israelis and get views from both sides. My first guest today is Samia, a Palestinian lady from Bethlehem. I asked her what it was like growing up in Bethlehem.
It's nice, but it's also challenging. Sometimes, especially with this the hard situation that we live in, as you know, the political situation at the moment is not really good, and we face some difficulties. But on the other hand, it's a privilege to be living in Bethlehem where Jesus was born.
Now, as a Palestinian, what difficulties do you face?
Mostly, I would say, with the checkpoints, because we have lots of checkpoints which sometimes give us a hard time to reach to other cities. Like if I want to go to Ramallah or to Hebron, it will take me one day to reach there. So that would be the most challenging and difficult thing, I would say.
Now, I understand that Jerusalem is only about 6 kilometers away, but you cannot go to Jerusalem without permission. How easy is it to get permission to go to Jerusalem?
Getting permission is not easy at all, because you have to have a special form that you have to fill, and then you have to go to Gush Etzion, which is to your way to Hebron, and you have to wait for the line until they give you, until they allow you to enter the office, and then you have to meet with a special officer there who will ask you a couple of questions, and then it has to be a very specific reason for getting this permission. Either it has to be for medical reasons or for something very serious.
So if you would just want to go to Jerusalem for shopping for the day, you would never get permission for that?
Yeah, you have to sneak out.
Right. Now, does your permission sometimes get cancelled if you do get permission?
Yeah, most of the time they do tricky things. Sometimes they give you a permission for one day, but then they don't allow you to stay for the night. And other times they do cancel it. You apply for it and then they cancel it.
Now, Bethlehem is traditionally a Christian city. Are many Christians leaving Bethlehem because of the situation?
Yeah, at the moment lots of people are disappointed with the situation, and they think the best way is to run away from this country because it's full of problems. But I think personally that it's really good to have more Christians staying, because the country needs more Christians to be here.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're from a missionary family. What things did your parents establish here in the land?
Well, they used to work in the Baraka hospital, and it was meant for TB. They used to treat lots of patients who struggled and suffered from TB. And then after work they used to go and visit these patients' houses, and they go around the villages to preach the gospel for them.
So did many people come to know Christ through their work?
Yeah, many people. I believe that lots of people got saved because of their work.
Wow. Now, you've done evangelism yourself here in Bethlehem and abroad. What's that like, doing evangelism here in Bethlehem?
It's interesting, but it's challenging as well, because everybody's different, especially preaching the gospel and explaining how Jesus died on the cross for non-believers and even for Muslims. It's something hard to do, and it has to be God who is doing this. So I had lots of chances to speak to people here about my relationship with God and my own experience, and it's been challenging for others as well to get to know my own experience and learn from it. And some of them, they even asked me to pray for them, that God will just open their hearts to understand what I'm talking about.
Now, you've done evangelism abroad. How do people react when you tell them you're from Bethlehem?
Most of them were shocked, and they were like, she's from Bethlehem where Jesus was born. So it was very nice also to hear all these compliments. But I think people don't realize how serious the situation is, and how much people here need lots of prayers from people abroad to pray for Bethlehem and for the peace here.
But do you feel that Bethlehem needs more missionaries coming here to speak into the lives of the people?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That will be very encouraging for the people here.
Now, what's Christmas like here in Bethlehem?
People get happy, and lots of people go shopping, and many people also decorate trees and decorate lights and candles around their houses. It's nice.
Do people know the reason of Christmas here?
Some people understand that the reason of Christmas is Jesus, because we're celebrating his birthday, but other people know. Some people know.
Now, do you have a Christmas tree and decorations here in Bethlehem?
Yes. Every year they also decorate around the manger square a big tree, and with lights and lots of decoration.
What's your favorite Christmas memory here in Bethlehem?
Well, my favorite memory is the choir. I used to be one of the Bethlehem Bible College choir member, and every year we presented a special concert for Christmas songs and Christian songs specifically. It was very nice to sing over Christmas, for Arabs also to hear songs in Arabic, Christian songs in Arabic. That was nice.
Now, what sort of traditional Christmas food do you eat here? Do you have things like turkey and Christmas puddings?
No. People here love chicken,
Yeah.
and they make stuffed chicken. And we have special sweet stuff that people make here. We call it ma'moul, and it's very traditional Arabic sweet.
Now, does it snow here at Christmas time?
No. It snows once or twice a year. Only in January maybe, or February.
So you don't get the traditional Christmas card feeling here?
No.
No. Now, does Santa Claus visit here? That's probably one of the most important questions.
Yes. Well, when I used to work in a place called the House of Hope, it's a place for people with special needs. We always prepared a very nice party for the kids, and Santa used to come and distribute gifts for the kids. It was fun. It was nice.
Now, what's your prayer for Bethlehem over this Christmas period?
I really pray that that the leaders will be more wise of their decision, of how they lead the country and how they form the government, and that the situation will change, that God will just move it, that God will do something about the situation.
With so much conflict in the Holy Land, there is a real need for prayer. This nation needs prayers. Jerusalem needs prayers, as it will become a stumbling block in the end times. Psalm 122 verse 6 says, "Pray for the peace of Jerusalem." My next guest is Chuck Cohen, a Messianic Jew, or a Jew that believes in Jesus, or Yeshua, as it is in Hebrew. He is the director of Intercessors for Israel. I spoke with him and asked him, what is Intercessors for Israel?
Intercessors for Israel is a local indigenous organization that goal is to raise up prayer for Israel both internationally and locally. We hold a January prayer conference, and we run weekly prayer meetings. We also have been invited to the nations, particularly in the UK and Scotland at this point, to do prayer conferences, and we do teachings on prayer, and you can find a lot of that information out on our website, which is www.ifij.org. And included on that is a weekly prayer alert we put out after our Friday prayer meeting.
So, why should we pray for Israel?
Well, it's all according. For people who do not want to see the Lord to return, they don't need to pray for Israel. But in order for Yeshua, Jesus, to return, Israel needs to be restored. And I believe Israel needs to be saved, because Yeshua himself said, "You will not see me until you say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Now, he was talking to Jerusalem, and therefore Jewish people need to be in Jerusalem. They need to be looking to him. And in order for that to happen, there needs to be the land here. We need to be not wiped out by Iran, and we need to return home, the Aliyah. And so it has to do with kingdom purposes. It has to do primarily with God's kingdom coming and his will being done on earth as it is in heaven.
So how can we actually effectively pray for Israel as a nation?
Well, understanding the scenario I just briefly ran over, the Bible is clear that the Jewish people, for the most part, are going to return in unbelief. and get saved here on the mountains of Israel. Therefore, one of the things we can always pray for is Aliyah, the return of the Jews home. The second thing we can pray for is the return of the Jews to the Lord, the salvation of all Israel. We see this in Jeremiah 31, I believe it's verse 7, which says, pray, cry, and say, O Lord, save your people, the remnant of Israel. There's an end-time prayer that the church can pray. The third thing I think we need to pray is that the land would not be divided. The land would not be given away, because the area of the land that the world wants to make a Palestinian state are the mountains of Israel, specifically the same place in which God has promised in Ezekiel 36 to save us. And if we're not there to be saved, and any time there's a Palestinian state, just like in Gaza, it becomes Yudmaraim, the Jews are not allowed to live there. If we're not there to be saved, then we're not going to be around to cry out to the Lord to return, and Satan knows that this is holding back the return of the Lord. And so therefore we can pray for Aliyah, we can pray for the land not to be divided, we can also pray for the Jews to be saved, and one of the best things we can do concerning the enemies of Israel is pray for them to be saved.
Now, Palestinians have quite a lot to play in life here. How can we pray particularly for Palestinians as well?
There is a small remnant church amongst the Palestinians. We need to pray for our brothers and sisters, especially now that Hamas looks like Hamas is going to rule. And Hamas being a fundamentalist Islamic organization, they will forbid evangelism. They will tell the Christians that they're dhimmis, they're second-class citizens who have to pay this Islamic tax in order to even live there. We need to pray for our Christian brothers and sisters, that they would be bold, that they would have wisdom, that they would know where to go, know when to speak and when not to speak, and for them to be effective in evangelism. For our Palestinians who want to live at peace with Israel, we need to pray for them to be protected and to be willing to find a sense of peace. But you know, Paul, ultimately the only peace is in Messiah Jesus. And that's the ultimate prayer for our Palestinians.
So the website for those who would like to go into is www.ifij.org.